It's social distancing at the chamber. My name is Garrick Taylor. We're here for another segment with Glenn Hammer, the CEO, Happy Hour with Hammer. Hey, Glenn, Wednesday night edition.
Good to see you, Garrick.
Students going back to school, but not necessarily back to campus soon. The governor and Superintendent Hoffman announced a delay till at least August the 17th for on-campus learning. Schools can go back before that to offer online instruction. Glenn, eventually there will come a time where students are back on campus. The governor has called his date admittedly aspirational. We want these schools to open and we want them to do so safely, don't we?
It's vitally important that the schools open in person, but it needs to be done in a safe way where the teachers, the administrators, the support personnel, and of course the students and parents feel comfortable. And that's still going to take some time and some effort to get to that point.
When we had Superintendent Hoffman on, just probably a week and a half ago, one of the things we talked about is that flexibility is going to have to be the order of the day, isn't it?
It's got to be maximum flexibility. Absolutely, Garrick. And there's going to be different models that are going to work for different districts and for different charter schools. And in my opinion, we need to work to make sure that flexibility exists so students we can get the maximum amount of instruction during this global pandemic while keeping people as safe as possible. And Garrick, I hate to say this, but all of the options are pretty terrible, actually, at this point during this global pandemic. The fact is, if you're alive on this planet right now, unless you're in Antarctica, there's nowhere, maybe arguably New Zealand, but I even question that. There's a risk to being outside of your home environment. And what we need to do is to figure out how best to live with this terrible disease. And we know that there's other issues as well. Then when kids don't go to school, there are issues in terms of food security or even the safety of the kids if they're in a home where there's issues. So we're going to have to keep working through those. And I really applaud Superintendent Hoffman and Governor Ducey for all of the effort that they put in, all the effort that their teams have put in to try to get these schools open in person safely.
Look, it's kids are the students, but there's usually a grown-up at the front of the classroom, and those grown-ups have all sorts of potentially underlying health issues or age concerns. That has to go hand in hand with this decision-making process, doesn't it?
We need to make sure the teachers feel comfortable, and I do believe that rapid testing is going to be part of that equation. We're going to have to make sure that the best possible safety protocols are in the classrooms, and the flexibility is just going to be very important. And we also know, just on the workforce side, for so many working parents, the having schools that are physically open is important in that respect as well. So, there's a lot of work to be done. And, I'm confident that with all of the good leaders that we have in the education space in Arizona, we'll find that flexibility that we need to get to at least begin the process of getting kids back into schools. I'll just tell you, I know with my two girls, this isn't a scientific survey, they want to get back in. They want to see their friends. They want to see their teachers, but they also are old enough to be aware that it's still not going to be what they experienced at the beginning of last school year.
Right. One of the things that we talked about with the superintendent is that if we are to acknowledge that there is likely going to be some online component, we don't know how much for every student, if there's going to be some online component, we don't want technological barriers to get in the way of delivering instruction. And so that's where things like CARES Act dollars and state relief flowing to school districts can be especially important to make sure that a bad Wi-Fi connection doesn't bring down an entire education.
Absolutely correct. Wi-Fi, hotspots, good equipment, and then creatively, using perhaps tutors and other instructors to help kids who need extra time is going to be very, very important. But I do believe we've reached the point in the program, Garrick, where there has to be, including us, the business community, a lot of time and effort spent on how we could accomplish this. Because this is right around the corner. We're in mid-July. School's still open very early here,
Mhm.
and we're not there yet. And there's another point here that's really important, and the governor and others have put a lot of attention in the last several weeks on the importance of wearing masks, social distancing. You're safer at home. This is an important part of the equation. If we're taking unnecessary trips, particularly trips where there's going to be a lot of other human beings around you,
Mhm.
if you're taking those off the board, you're going to be reducing the spread, and you're going to make it a lot easier for us to safely open our schools.
Yeah.
If people don't do the type of activity, it's very hard for me to believe that we're going to see schools open anytime soon.
Yeah, I will tell you with the focus group of one that I live with, I've heard something similar, that you have to have confidence in your fellow citizen before you send a junior back to school for the reasons you just said. It's a little bit like consumer confidence that we've been talking about. There needs to be parental confidence as well.
What does give me a lot of reason to hope is that you think about 3 or 4 weeks ago, it was 20-30% tops in any given establishment where you would see masks being worn, unless there was a mandatory mask policy within the store. And even then, it could be a little bit spotty.
Yeah.
That has completely flipped. Now when I've been out and about, and I'm careful in how I do it, it feels like the vast, vast majority of Arizonans have got the message on the importance of masks.
Good.
And that's a bit of good news.
Good. That is a bit of good news. I'd love to get your take as the parent of 3 kids, one who is now officially college age. What did you think of the announcement from Harvard that you have the privilege of cutting a check for $50,000 a year for online instruction for the Harvard online experience?
I would say you get a much better value and a better education at certainly one of our 3 state universities. And Harvard, come on. ASU has been the most innovative university 5 years in a row.
Yeah.
I just think that that's absurd.
Yeah.
To cut that type of check for an online experience.
If you're a college freshman,
Harvard's overrated anyway.
If your college freshman is in a position where they're going to have to be going to school online, and just as we said, let's go into this with some expectation there's going to be an online component. Don't go to Harvard online. I'm with you. Don't do it.
It doesn't make sense. And what also gives me some optimism is Arizona State University, University of Arizona, Northern Arizona University, 3 terrific university presidents who have been working and thinking about how to get kids and faculty and administrators safely back on campus.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of progress there. All 3 of our universities are also doing all sorts of important things on other angles, whether it's testing or potential cures or personal protective equipment. So there's a lot of good work going on in the education side and the higher education side to tackle this problem. And that also goes for our excellent community college system, Maricopa Community College and Pima Community College.
Right. Yeah, that's well said. Glenn, there's a hint of optimism in your report today that we probably can deliver education to our K-12 students, but let's go into it with clear-eyed and with an open mind and a commitment to flexibility, and we're going to do our best to get this next school year underway.
And put maximum effort getting every workforce as possible, as safe as possible, getting people to act as responsibly as we know we can, and we will get there, and we'll get there on the right timeline. As the governor has said, some of these dates are aspirational. Doesn't mean we can't meet them, but I'd rather get to the right point where people feel comfortable and safe than to push something that could cause some problems down the line.
Yeah, well said. I think as we close out, I do want to underline that the point you made. Of course, we want schools open, but we want them open safely. So I think that's the operative construct here.
Yes, and we will get through this. This is going to be the toughest period. The next if you go back a week to probably about another week or so, it's going to be tough. I have people that I know, I care about, I love, that have the virus, and if they're watching, thinking about you, I know you're going to get well, and we're going to do everything we can to get Arizona open safely and our schools back in person safely as well.
Absolutely. All right, that puts another edition in the books. Thanks, Glenn. We'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks, Garrick.